So midway through high school, I quit debate. It's sort of ironic, given the talk here about debate. But it wasn't because I was doing badly in debate. In fact, I was reaching late elimination rounds of many national tournaments I was going to. It wasn't, as I told my parents and my coach, that I simply didn't have time for the activity, that I needed to focus on college applications or doing science fair competitions. That was total BS. Instead, debate, this activity that at one time I would be willing to pour dozens of hours of work every week into, just ceased to be enjoyable for me. And this progression was fairly gradual, but there's one round where I definitely realized that this was the case. So this is at the Emory tournament. It's a fairly prestigious national high school debate tournament, and one that I was really looking forward to. In fact, I did homecoming with my girlfriend to go to this debate tournament. Highly regrettable decision in hindsight. So the topic for this round was just governments ought to require employers to pay a living wage. And my opponent was affirming the resolution. But instead of arguing for the goodness of the living wage, she argued that inherently the living wage is a racist concept because in the past the living wage has been used to oppress African American individuals. And so she argued that the debate, instead of centering about whether a living wage is good or bad, should rather be focused upon whether we should be, how we should ameliorate racism in modern day society. And her argument for this was that we should metaphorically burn down civil society because civil society is ontologically anti-black. So I know many of you probably think that this claim is a little far-fetched. Do we really have to burn down civil society to get rid of racism? And that was sort of the position that I was in at this time. But actually, this argument is fairly popular. Many contemporary African-American philosophers, most notably Frank Wilderson at UC Berkeley, believe in this idea. But I'm a privileged, upper-middle-class kid from the suburbs near Montgomery, Alabama, and I don't want to engage in these scary ideas. I want to hide behind the walls of economic arguments forwarded by white economists and want to talk about the philosophies of old white guys that have been dead for hundreds of years. I want to talk about the economics behind a living wage and the philosophies of Kant and John Stuart Mill. I do not want to talk about whether we should burn down civil society, so I don't debate. I say that we shouldn't be, I give up. I don't want to talk about this. And in that round, I decided not to engage in this discussion. Instead, I chose to just talk about what I wanted to talk about. And I ultimately lost that round. And after that round, I was so frustrated that I decided to quit high school debate. So fast forward to the summer after my senior year. I was teaching at a debate camp in Austin, Texas. So for the uninitiated in the crowd, high school debate camp is sort of necessary in order to going to the debate camp is sort of necessary to actually doing well in debate the following year. But the prices of these camps are are super exorbitant, ranging from like $1,500 to $2,000 for 2 weeks. The goal of the camp I was teaching at, though, was to provide access to low-income debaters. So what they did was, instead of paying the staff, we allocated all that money to providing scholarships for low-income kids. So we were able to provide scholarships for about half the kids who were going, and we also provided free lunch and dinner for them. And so working with these low-resource kids was especially eye-opening for me as somebody who hadn't dealt with this type of inequality and dealt with kids who had to face the burden of being from a family of low socioeconomic status. And so many of these debaters were reading arguments similar to the arguments I had heard that day at that Emory debate competition. Many of these arguments I frankly thought were sort of dumb. But why should I be the one who decides what arguments these kids read and what arguments are correct or flawed, right? I had not gone through the experiences that they had gone through. I had not seen the massive injustices in the world that they had seen. So debate for me is special because it's sort of an open forum where individuals, irrespective of their background, their beliefs, can voice their opinions. A place where we can have meaningful discussions about real problems that affect the world around us, not necessarily hypothetical topics such as whether a living wage could or should not be enacted, but real things like racism, overcriminalization, domestic violence, and economic disparities. Debate for me was an open forum where debate for these kids was a place for them to escape the troubles they had at home or they may have had at school. It was a place for them to be free from the constraints of the real world around them and to talk about the issues that matter to them. And to this day, I have not found a forum like debate where these kids are able to do so. And so debate especially is a place where people are willing to listen and can engage in an empathetic discussion about how to actually change the problems that affect real-world society. And that day, I ignored that because I was caught up in what I wanted to talk about as opposed to listening to what other people had to say. I wanted to talk about a specific facet, a specific topic within debate, whereas they wanted to talk about something much larger than that, something that I did not want to face. I ran away from that. But debate should be a place where this meaningful dialogue can occur. And especially in our modern society, where people's beliefs are increasingly polarized and where there's partisanship that is taking over politics, the need to actually listen and to actually talk about these ideas in meaningful ways is so paramount. And there definitely need to be more forums like debate where kids from an early age can start doing this. Thank you.